When we think of Hollywood today, red carpets, million-dollar movies, Oscar ceremonies, and global stars come to mind. But let me tell you a truth that very few people know. Hollywood was actually born from illegally made films. Yes, you heard that right. In this story, there is a genius, but also a monopolist. There are courts, threats, film crews secretly changing cities, and in the end, the very first Hollywood film that changed cinema history forever. Let's go back to the early 1900s. At that time, cinema was a newly born art form. Films were only a few minutes long, silent, and usually shown at fairgrounds or small halls. The center of cinema was not Los Angeles as it is today, but New York and New Jersey, because cameras, film machines, and technical equipment were there. But there was a dark shadow hanging over this world: Thomas Edison. Edison held the patents for most cinema technologies. Anyone using a camera, anyone making films, had to pay him. And do you know what happened if you didn't? You were taken to court. Your equipment was confiscated. Some producers were even openly threatened by Edison's men, according to rumors. For many young directors and producers, making films was a dream, but also a nightmare. And then someone asked the question, how do we get rid of this man? The answer was simple, but it required courage. We run. But not just a few streets away. From one end of America to the other. To a place so far that Edison's influence would end, and courts wouldn't be able to reach. That place was a small town, no one associated with cinema. Hollywood. At the time, Hollywood consisted of orange groves, dirt roads, and a few farms, but for filmmakers it was perfect. Because the sun shone almost all year long, there was no need for artificial lighting. The sea, mountains, deserts, and wide plains were just a few kilometers away. It was possible to create dozens of different locations within a single city. And in 1910, the film that would change cinema history was made, in Old California. Today, this film is considered the first movie ever shot in Hollywood. Its director was D.W. Griffith. The film was silent, black and white, and very short compared to today's films, but its impact was far greater than its duration. The film told a story of love and betrayal set in California under Mexican rule. Visually simple, narratively basics. But the most important thing was where this film was made. With this film, Hollywood entered the map of cinema for the first time, and then it happened. After this film, a rumor began spreading by word of mouth. Filmmaking is free in Hollywood. No Edison. No patent pressure. Producers began arriving in Hollywood one after another. Wooden studios were built. Open land turned into film sets. Scenes that cost millions today were shot back then with just a few curtains and natural light. But Hollywood's rise wasn't just a technical success. It was also a movement of freedom. Here, filmmakers could finally tell stories without fear. Longer films began to be made. Characters gained depth. Stories became more complex. Cinema stopped being a fairground attraction and became an art form and an industry. By the mid-1910s, everyone accepted one thing. Hollywood was no longer a temporary escape point. It was the future of cinema. Major studios like Universal, Paramount, and Warner Brothers were born in this environment. The star system emerged. Actors were no longer anonymous faces, but names admired by millions. But the most ironic part is this. Hollywood's birth was not a planned success story. It was the result of pressure, oppression, and escape. If Thomas Edison hadn't been so harsh, Hollywood might never have been born. Perhaps today, the heart of cinema would still be beating in New York. But history is sometimes written this way. Pressure moves creativity elsewhere, and that new place changes the world. When you look at the Hollywood sign today, you don't just see white letters. Behind those letters are secretly filmed movies, risk-taking people, and the first step that freed cinema. And it all started with that first film shot in Hollywood. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like it. Subscribe to the channel for more stories like this about history, cinema, and firsts. See you in the next video.